Terry Koshan and Steve Simmons here at the Air Canada Centre on Thursdays. The Maple Leafs have their team picture and clean out their lockers. Exit meetings were Wednesday, and Steve, for sure, the message to Phil Kessel was, go have a good summer. You played some great hockey in 2012-13.
I think both Coach Randy Carlyle and General Manager Dave Nonis very pleased with what they've seen from Phil Kessel. The questions going into the Boston series was, could he play against Zdeno Chara? Could he pick up his game as a playoff performer? And if the Leafs don't have the great collapse down the stretch, Phil Kessel would have wound up with 3 playoff winning goals in one round of the playoffs, which is something Matt Sundin, Doug Gilmour, or Wendell Clark never accomplished. Impressive first round of the playoffs for Phil Kessel in Toronto.
Yeah, I agree. And not only that, but just the 48-game regular season, too. 52 points. Led all the Leafs in scoring, finished in the top 10, and really on the other side of that coin, bought into what Randy Carlyle wanted this year. And I don't know how many times we looked up from the press box, and there was Phil Kessel among the first on the back check and this sort of thing, Steve. Really became more of a 200-foot player. And the question now is Kessel and his contract situation. He is under contract for another year. There'll be talk of an extension this summer, and Kessel told us today that he wants to come back.
I love it here. Obviously, a lot of stuff can happen, and you never know.
Another big name that the Leafs have to concern themselves with this summer is Tyler Bozak. He's bound to be an unrestricted free agent on July 5th, as we all know, Steve, and he wants to come back as well. Missed the last 2 games, of course, with a biceps injury, and really, is he a guy that you can tie your number 1 center job to going forward here?
Probably not tie your number 1 center job to, but I think the question that Dave Nonis and staff have to face really is, can you find better? And can you find someone who Randy Carlyle can trust as much as he trusts Tyler Bozak, and Phil Kessel can trust as much as he trusts Tyler Bozak? And you really noticed his absence in Game 6 and Game 7, and suddenly Patrice Bergeron, who wasn't a big factor in the series, became a big factor in the series. And it's not so much do you sign Bozak or do you not sign Bozak, is how do you replace him if you don't sign Bozak, and can you find someone of equal or better caliber? That's a real challenge for Dave Nonis and staff.
Well, it's a real challenge because the free agent market at center is fairly thin this summer. There's not going to be a lot out there, and in fact, if Bozak decides not to sign before July 5th, he'll be one of the guys that's sought after not only by the Maple Leafs but by a lot of teams in the National Hockey League. And the curious thing about Bozak, too, is that we learned yesterday through his agent, he reiterated today that had the Leafs won Game 7 against the Bruins, he would have been out for a long time, possibly for as much as a month.
It's a great place here. I hope I'm able to come back. You never know. I'm an unrestricted free agent, so hopefully we can get something done, and I'd love to be back here. But that's not on my mind right now. I'm not really thinking about contract or anything like that. Kind of just trying to think about get the season off your mind and start getting prepared for next year.
If there's a contract that makes sense for us and makes sense for Tyler, then we'll sign him. But it's not a situation where we have to sign Tyler Bozak, because there are numbers that make sense for the team, and there's numbers that make sense for Bozy. I always have believed that if the player wants to stay with your team, you find a way to make it happen if you want to have him as well. And we've had success, or I've had success in the past with UFAs that have played out the string and getting them re-signed. But the cap is going down, and how we allocate our dollars is going to be very important if we're going to remain competitive.
For Steve Simmons, I'm Terry Koshan reporting for the Air Canada Centre for the Toronto Sun.